These signs of weakness are proof that the underlying character of the market has changed from one of buoyancy to one of heaviness. They demonstrate that the supply is not only present, but is becoming more aggressive and impatient. Each sign of weakness serves as a tremor, a warning of the major earthquake to come, proving that the structural integrity of the market is being progressively undermined from within. Richard Wyckoff was a brilliant researcher, a market pioneer who dedicated his intellect to decoding the universal laws of supply and demand. His method gives us a powerful framework for dissecting these subtle internal signs of weakness. But we must understand, he was not the only genius who built a fortune in the markets. Other titans like Bernard Baruch, a legendary investor who famously sold everything before the crash of 1929, or Richard Dennis, the mastermind behind the turtle traders, or Nicholas Darvas, the dancer who turned a small stake into millions by developing his box theory, all had their own unique methods for identifying market turns. To illuminate these diverse paths to success, we created our new channel, Trading Insights. We explore the stories, strategies, and philosophies of these market masters and many others. If you want to broaden your understanding of market speculation from every angle, we invite you to subscribe and watch. The link is in the description. The fourth definitive proof in our analysis is the climactic final act of the distribution campaign. It is the composite operator's single greatest masterpiece of deception, a maneuver so psychologically potent that it has been responsible for trapping legions of traders on the wrong side of the market for over a century. This is the upthrust after distribution. This event, which typically occurs in phase C of the schematic, is a sudden and often dramatic price surge that pushes the stock up through the top of its established trading range, making a new high. It is engineered for one purpose and one purpose alone: to mislead the maximum number of people into believing that the long period of consolidation is over and that the glorious uptrend is about to resume. It is the final, definitive proof of the composite operator's bearish intentions, for he uses this manufactured strength to unload the last of his inventory at the highest possible prices to the most eager and misguided buyers. To fully appreciate the malevolent genius of this maneuver, we must examine the psychology it exploits. Imagine the mindset of the average market participant. He has been watching this stock trade sideways for weeks or months. He has grown frustrated and bored. Suddenly the stock explodes to life. It bursts through the old highs that have capped every previous rally. The tape runs wild. Financial news outlets report the breakout. The fear of missing out, which had been dormant, now returns with overwhelming force. The trader who sold earlier is convinced he made a terrible mistake and wants back in. The trader who has been patiently waiting on the sidelines is terrified that this is his last chance to board the train before it leaves the station forever. It is a moment of maximum emotional vulnerability, and it is precisely this vulnerability that the upthrust after distribution is designed to exploit. The anatomy of a true upthrust after distribution reveals its fraudulent nature. The proof of the deception lies in its immediate aftermath. A genuine breakout would be characterized by a sustained hold above the breakout level. An upthrust. After distribution, by contrast, fails, and it fails quickly. The price is unable to hold its gains above the old resistance, and it swiftly reverses and falls back into the heart of the trading range. This failure can manifest in two primary ways, both of which offer conclusive proof of its deceptive intent. The first is a high-volume upthrust after distribution. In this scenario, the breakout to a new high occurs on a massive spike in volume. This is the climactic final transfer of ownership. The huge volume is the record of the public's frantic buying being met by the composite operator's final, massive offering of stock. He uses their breakout buying frenzy as the perfect liquidity event to complete his distribution. The subsequent rapid failure of the price is the proof that the buying power has been exhausted and that the market is now saturated with supply. The second and more subtle variation is a low-volume upthrust after distribution. Here, the price pokes its head above the old highs, but does so on conspicuously weak anemic volume. This is the proof that there is no genuine professional demand behind the move. It is a hollow engineered maneuver designed primarily to trigger the stop-loss orders of short sellers and to entice the most gullible of buyers. It fails immediately because there is no real purchasing power to sustain it. In both scenarios, the critical evidence is the failure. The inability of the stock to accept the higher prices and its swift rejection back into the prior range is the definitive proof that the entire move was a sham, a final, masterful trap set before the curtain falls. We have now reached the final stage of our anatomical investigation. We have meticulously gathered the preliminary evidence. We witnessed the change of character and the climactic stopping action that first arrested the great bull market. We have patiently observed the long and deceptive process of building the cause within the trading range. We have scrutinized the internal signs of weakness and seen the proof of supply's growing dominance. And we have analyzed the composite operator's final masterful act of deception, the upthrust after distribution. The case against the market's health is now overwhelming. All the hidden internal evidence has been collected. All that remains is for the market to deliver its final, public, and unequivocal verdict, the ultimate confirmation that the long period of preparation is over and the new, great downward trend is about to begin. This brings us to the fifth and final definitive proof in our sequence. The confirmation, which is comprised of the breakdown of the market below its support and the subsequent test at the last point of supply. This is the transition into Phase D and Phase E of the Wyckoff schematic. This is the moment when the market can no longer conceal its profound and pervasive weakness. The long period of carefully managed equilibrium, where the composite operator supported the price to facilitate his selling, is now over. His inventory is sold. He has no further interest in holding the price at these elevated levels. The floor that has supported the market for weeks or months is about to give way. The decisive break of this support, the cracking of the ice, as Wyckoff would say, is the ultimate irrefutable proof that the campaign of distribution is complete and that the forces of supply are now in absolute and total control. The initial component of this confirmation is the breakdown itself, which is the most powerful type of sign of weakness. This is the event where the price decisively violates the support level of the trading range. For this breakdown to be considered authentic and definitive proof, it must possess a specific character. It should not be a tentative or hesitant dip below the support line. A true professional breakdown is a move of power and authority. It should occur on a wide and dynamic price spread, with the price bar for the session closing at or very near its absolute low. This demonstrates a clear and urgent desire on the part of sellers to liquidate their holdings and a conspicuous absence of any meaningful buying support. Furthermore, this powerful downward thrust must be accompanied by a significant and decisive increase in trading volume. This surge in volume is the critical evidence. It is the footprint of large informed interests now actively pressing the market lower. It proves that the breakdown is not a random fluctuation, but a deliberate and well-capitalized initiation of the markdown phase. This combination of a wide spread to the downside and high volume is the market's unambiguous declaration that the long-fought war within the trading range is over, and the sellers have achieved a total victory. Following this initial and often violent breakdown, the market will frequently offer one final, exquisite piece of evidence for the most patient of observers. This is the last point of supply. After the initial shock of the breakdown, the market may experience a brief, feeble rally or recovery attempt. This rally will typically carry the price back up to the vicinity of the support level that was just broken. This is a critical moment. The old floor of support has now become the new ceiling of resistance. The entire character of this rally is what provides the final damning proof. A valid last point of supply must be a weak, anemic, and uninspired rally. Most importantly, it must occur on conspicuously low and diminishing volume. This profound lack of volume is the market's final confession. It is the ultimate proof that the demand has been completely and utterly exhausted. The public, which bought so eagerly at the highs, has either suffered crippling losses in the breakdown or has no more capital with which to buy. The professional interests have no desire to buy, as they have already completed their distribution. The market, therefore, is hollow. The feeble rally fails simply because there is no one left with the power or the inclination to push the price higher. This successful test of the broken support on anemic volume is the final confirmation that the path of least resistance is now, without any doubt, to the downside. It is the market's last quiet whisper before the great downward cascade begins in earnest. It is the single safest and most logical point for a professional trader to initiate a short position, as the evidence is now complete, and the risk is at its most clearly defined. Having now dissected the complete anatomy of a market top, we must synthesize this knowledge into a coherent and practical professional mindset. Understanding these 5 proofs is not merely an academic exercise, nor is it solely a tool for those who wish to profit from market declines by selling short. Its primary and most vital function is as the single most important tool for the preservation of capital. The great fortunes in Wall Street are not made by spectacular gains, but by the steadfast avoidance of catastrophic losses. The ability to correctly identify a market top in formation is the key to achieving this. The actions of a professional trader armed with this knowledge differ fundamentally from those of the uninformed public. Firstly, the professional practices selling into strength. As he begins to observe the initial proofs of distribution, the change of character, the buying climax, and the signs of weakness within the range, he does not wait for the final breakdown to act. He uses the public's remaining euphoria and the rallies within the trading range as the perfect opportunity to methodically sell his own long positions, which he likely acquired months earlier during the accumulation phase. While the public is still buying the dips, the professional is calmly and quietly exiting the market near the highs. Secondly, and most critically, the professional refuses to buy. As the evidence of distribution mounts, he ceases to look for new long positions in the market. This single decision to stand aside, to keep his capital in cash, is what protects him from the devastating losses that the public will inevitably suffer when the final breakdown occurs. He has seen the warning signs, and he heeds them. He has the discipline to not participate in the final fatal stages of the public's speculative party. Finally, the professional is patient in waiting for the short. He does not jump the gun and attempt to short the market based on the first sign of weakness. To do so would be to expose himself to the risk of the final deceptive upthrust after distribution. Instead, he waits with the calm assurance of a detective who has built an airtight case. He waits for all 5 proofs to align. He waits for the final definitive confirmation of the breakdown and the subsequent low-volume test at the last point of supply. Only then, when the evidence is complete and the probabilities are overwhelmingly in his favor, does he commit his capital to a short position, entering at the moment of maximum strategic advantage. We have just dissected a market top like a surgeon, identifying the 5 key proofs of distribution. But how did Wyckoff develop this incredible foresight? He did it through decades of personal experience, observation, and meticulous study, which he details in his foundational work, How I Trade and Invest in Stocks and Bonds. This book is not just a collection of abstract theories. It is filled with Wyckoff's own stories and real market examples, showing how he navigated treacherous market tops and identified opportunities the public completely missed. To truly grasp the professional mindset required to act on these proofs, you must understand the principles that forge that mindset. This book is that essential guide. The link is in the description. In our final summation, we have traced the 5 definitive proofs that constitute the anatomy of a market top. We have seen that it is a logical and sequential process, beginning with the first subtle change of character and the climactic stopping action, followed by the long and deceptive period of building the cause, then the collection of internal signs of weakness, culminating in the final masterful deception of the upthrust after distribution, and confirmed, finally and irrevocably, by the breakdown and the test at the last point of supply. Let us close with this final thought. A market top is not a single, unpredictable event that strikes like lightning from a clear blue sky. It is a process, a slow and observable deterioration of the market's health. By learning to read this process, by learning to identify these 5 definitive proofs, you equip yourself with one of the most powerful and enduring advantages in the entire field of speculation. You learn not only how to potentially profit from a decline, but far more importantly, you learn how to protect the capital you have worked so hard to build. You learn to recognize the signs that the party is ending, and you acquire the wisdom to quietly exit the room while everyone else is still celebrating, just before the music stops for good.